All right. We've got the group that, didn't get to go to London, but we're gonna be all over it just the same. We've got Sharon Thorsland from WBT Radio and the Panthers Radio Network. We've got Josh Parcell from WFNZ, one of the top Orange Theory coaches in Charlotte, I might add. So thank you, Josh. And Al Wallace, 96 games in the NFL, war number 96 for your Carolina Panthers. Thank you guys so much for joining us. So if you've never seen this before, we are on all of NBC Charlotte's social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You can comment. You can ask questions. We'll get to those along the way. This is 4 Down Territory, 4 segments. Each has a different format. The first format for 4 Down Territory is fill in the blank. So let's start with Al, who never got to play a game in London. Playing a game in London is blank, Al.
I think it's perfect with my waffles and coffee on Sunday morning. I mean, I've never gone over there, never had the opportunity to play over in London. But to wake up and to watch the NFL sun up to sundown sounds very good to me. And it's another opportunity for the Panthers to play on a stage where everybody's watching and kind of redeem themselves from that Week 2 performance against the Bucs.
Sharon, fill in the blank. Playing a game in London is blank.
Awesome. I think it's a really neat idea. I think it's a lot of fun for this Panthers squad. Guys, we're really excited about going over there. None other than F.A. Obata, of course, who was touring all around the locker room all week, asking his teammates if they could name certain foods and named all these trivia things about London. So he was really excited to get his teammates over there, and I think it's a great opportunity for them to go experience a new culture, experience a whole new fan base, and play a very important game against the key NFC South rival.
Yeah, big game for this Panthers team in London against the Bucs. Josh, take us home here with this one. Playing a game in London is blank.
Well, I don't know. Al might have convinced me otherwise. I was going to say too early. I don't know. I kind of like to get my breakfast, get some errands done on Sunday, because we know once 1 o'clock hits, I'm sitting on the couch for 8 straight hours. Now you've gone from an 8-hour day. Now it's 12 hours of football. I kid. This is going to be an awesome game. It's great to see these teams in London. Sharon, I think you're exactly right. It's really a great experience for F.A. Obata, one of the most lovable players on this Panthers team, a chance to go home where he's so celebrated. And like you both have said, this is a massive game for the Panthers, a division game. You can't go 0-2 against the Bucs with the schedule that lies ahead for Carolina. So a lot on the line on Sunday morning.
All right, I'll just throw in mine. I think it's, to fill in the blank, an adjustment for us as fans. Josh, you got to watch what you do Saturday night this weekend. You got to be up early for this one. And it's an adjustment.
What are you trying to say?
Nothing, man. You're perfect health. It's an adjustment for the team, too. And I think Ron Rivera is the guy that is a good leader and has had this team structured this week to where they need to be. I think even Greg Olsen said as much as he got off the plane a little tired this morning in London. Just got to stay up as long as they can, get that body clock used to time over there, and they'll have a real practice tomorrow. It's just a walkthrough today. All right, next fill in the blank. We will start with Josh this time. Your opinion of Kyle Allen has blank over the past 2 weeks.
I think it's been confirmed. The last 2 weeks, Kyle Allen's really done what every Panther fan hoped he would do from the beginning, right? I mean, the expectation was, hey, come in, try not to make too many mistakes, keep the Panthers in the game until late, and then hopefully give them an opportunity to win. It's funny because he was so good against Arizona in his first start, he almost set the bar too high for himself. That was unrealistic that he was going to throw 4 touchdowns and have the second highest passer rating in the history of the franchise. So, it almost makes the last 2 weeks feel like a letdown, which they shouldn't be. Kyle Allen hasn't been perfect. He's been a backup, and he's been a good backup, and Carolina should be thankful for what he's been able to give them and help turn their season around.
All right, real quick. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, Lisa, Josh, all you guys on Facebook watching and chiming in. Somebody asked, is it an 80-yard field like it was in Winnipeg for the Raiders and Packers in the preseason? No. Regulation size. Al, fill in the blank. Your opinion of Kyle Allen has blank over the last 2 games.
I think it's really stayed the same. I tempered my expectations of what I thought Kyle Allen would be. I watched him last year, of course. And then, it's just a good backup in the NFL, and that's what he's going to be. I agree. He hasn't been perfect. You don't expect those backups to be. What he hasn't done is hurt this football team. He's put it on the ground. We know he's working on that, but he hasn't hurt this football team. And I think, in a situation where it comes back around, it's going to be controversy. Everybody wants it to be this controversy. He's the backup. Cam's going to be the starter. And unless he really hurts this football team, he's exactly the guy I thought he would be going into the season.
All right, Sharon, take us home. Kyle Allen, your opinion of Kyle Allen is blank over the last 2 weeks.
Has not changed. I'm pretty much like Al and Josh. It's pretty much stayed the same. He's what I expected him to be based on what he did last season when he came in that New Orleans game, played really well, and he played really well in Arizona. And like Josh said, he was really set the bar pretty high for himself with those touchdowns, but he's done what he needed to do to get this football team some wins. He's also given them a bit of a new energy. I think guys were really down in the dumps after those first 2 losses, and he injected them with a bit of energy. He's really confident in the huddle. He has a really good poise out there in the huddle, and guys trust him, and you can see that on the field. So I think he's done a great job for them so far, and hopefully he'll get another win here on Sunday.
All right, some folks are asking, when is the game? Where can you watch it? It is at 9:30 in the morning, as we talked about over the at the top of the show. It will be broadcast locally. I guess I could say it on Fox. We'll have some games this year too, but yeah, you need to know where the game's going to be. You got to watch the Panthers on Sunday morning, 9:30, and it will be shown locally. All right, let's start back with Sharon for this one. And again, if you're just joining us, 4 down territory. This is first down. We're filling in the blank. Sharon, Cam Newton not traveling with the team to London is a blank storyline. I'll get mine out of the way. Tired. It's a tired storyline, Sharon.
Yeah, to me, it's a non-story. It is just a non-story. He hasn't traveled at all with them this season when he's been injured. They've left him at home because it is a foot injury. He doesn't need to be on an airplane for 8 hours when he's got a swollen foot stuck in a boot and then try to do all of that walking around and traveling. So it was best for health reasons to leave him at home. He's been doing that all season, so I don't see why they would change that, even though this is a really big trip. I'm sure he would like to be on that trip, but it seems to be the best thing to leave him at home, and I just think it's a non-story.
All right, we got somebody on Facebook. Panthers are going to lose again to the Bucks. Ooh, I don't know, man. All right, so let's see it. Got a lot of Bucks fans chiming in here. We got to get Charlotte in the house. Al, let me ask you this before you fill in the blank here with Cam Newton not traveling with the team to London is a blank storyline. You were a player in this league for a long time. Is it protocol for players to definitely be on the sidelines when they're injured, especially on the road?
It depends on the severity of the injury. If you're hurt to the point where you can't get out of harm's way on the sideline, if a play were to come over there, I think they put you up in the booth. They try to protect you. But it's been weird for me, for Cam, knowing who he is, the quarterback of this football team, not to be there and supporting his team and cheering his teammates on from the sidelines. Yes.
So you think it's important for him to be there and kind of represent himself and be kind of that leader that he is?
I think it's odd that he's not, but I actually think, and that's in my answer here, I think it's a non-story, first of all, and I agree with Sharon. He doesn't need to travel the distance. He doesn't need to stand up for 3-4 hours during a football game. It's not helping his injury. It's not helping his teammates. So I think he should not be there. But the other part of it, and it's what I was alluding to, it's the chemistry. It's the team chemistry. And I think when you're as bright of a star as Cam Newton and you're an alpha like he is, I think having him removed from that group has really done Kyle a lot of good. Not that they can't coexist, but having Cam out of the way kind of gives him an opportunity to shine and celebrate with his teammates. And I think that's something we've overlooked.
All right, Josh, how about you?
I think it's a perplexing storyline, kind of for the same reasons you guys were saying. I don't understand why Cam not being on the sideline with a foot injury has to be a point of debate. I mean, if anyone wants to question his leadership, I point you back to week 16 of last year, where he was on the sideline with a shoulder injury, wearing the Taylor Heineke t-shirt, dancing and celebrating and coaching Taylor Heineke through that game against Atlanta, then helping Kyle Allen after Heineke went out. Cam Newton's been nothing but supportive of Kyle Allen. Kyle said himself this week, Cam has been there Monday through Friday to help coach Kyle Allen and prepare him for these games. Cam Newton has done everything he can do within his power to be there. I if anything, I maybe would have liked to have seen him step out onto the field for Steve Smith and Jordan Gross, some of his former teammates last week. That would have been nice to see, but I'm not going to hold it against him. The only reason this is a storyline, guys, is because now Cam doesn't have to fight over the exit seat on the airplane across the pond like he did when he was headed to Fashion Week a few months ago.
Well, it sounds like he was at Charlotte Douglas yesterday, so who knows where he's going this week. But we think we might have a decision by Ron Rivera to make in the next couple of weeks, and we'll get to that. But let's finish out first down and fill in the blank Ron Rivera told us to bust out our thesaurus last week when somebody asked him how many different ways can you describe Christian McCaffrey. So let's try. Christian McCaffrey is fill in the blank. Christian McCaffrey is blank. Al?
He's an alien. He's absolutely an alien. Like, I haven't seen anyone in this league capable of doing some of the things he does, touching the ball as many times as he has, 866 yards from scrimmage this year so far. I mean, he's just absolutely a superstar, and he's an alien. No one can do the things that he's doing. We've watched guys in this league be really, really good, but to do it at the clip that Christian McCaffrey is able to do it week in and week out is amazing for a guy that we all thought coming in was just too small to be the featured back in this offense.
Josh, Christian McCaffrey is what?
Tired. I think
on.
This is something. The guy's rested each of the last 2 days in practice. He's awesome. He's obviously great. I think he right now has made a case not only for the MVP, he's the best running back in the league. I mean, you just look at the numbers. They speak for themselves. You see them on the screen. Al mentioned a couple of them right there. I do want to caution people. I think that the Panthers can't, have reached their full potential if Christian McCaffrey continues at this pace, because I don't think he can continue at this pace for 16 games. They need to use Reggie Bonifant 5 to 7 touches a game. Give Christian McCaffrey a break. They were fortunate that Bonifant got loose at the end of that game against Jacksonville, and they were fortunate that they had a cushion at the end of the game. But this could very easily have been a game against New Orleans in a few weeks where you're down 7 points with 5 minutes to go. And if Christian McCaffrey has to step out because of cramps, that's not good. So I think it's been great so far to see what he's been able to do. I want to make sure the Panthers preserve him and make sure that he has fresh legs for the next 11 weeks of the season and potentially beyond for a playoff run.
All right, save some of that, Josh. We're getting to that in second down. Sharon, Christian McCaffrey is blank.
A freak of nature. He is just such an unbelievable player right now because he's not a big guy. He's small, but he is so fast. And he's so strong and powerful to be able to run the way he does, to be able to catch the passes the way he does. And he's just leaving people in the dust and then doing things like flipping into the end zone. And he's just an unbelievable player right now. I agree with Josh that I think that he needs to have somebody else helping him out there, be it Curtis Samuel, be it Reggie Bonifant, be it DJ Moore. Somebody else needs to take some of the pressure off of him because I don't think his body can take that kind of a beating for 16 games.
All right, couple of Facebook comments. Daniel, CMC makes plays like Madden. I'm not even sure you can do some of that stuff on Madden. I'm not sure what button you use for that. Lisa, Christian needs to rest. She agrees with you guys, and we're going to get to that in a second as we go to second down. Again, this is 4-down territory. We've got Josh Parcell from WFNZ, former Panther Al Wallace, and Panthers reporter Sharon Thorsland. I'm Nick Carboni, and we will move into second down, which is a buy or sell segment. We're going to look ahead here. Buy or sell, Al. If he wins this week, Kyle Allen starts the next game at San Francisco, even if Cam Newton says he's ready to go.
Guys, I'm going to go sell here, and the key word for me is healthy. If there's a healthy Cam Newton, not a capable Cam Newton, not a guy that can get out there and play through the injuries, a healthy Cam Newton, the talent gap is just too far for me. I think if you want to win, in the long term, Super Bowl, you're talking playoff run, it has to go through Cam Newton. I think Kyle Allen is a really, really good running or quarterback. I've enjoyed watching him play, but a healthy Cam Newton in 2 weeks, there's not a controversy. He gets out there. He's the quarterback for this football team.
Al, being on the field as a player, Kyle Allen wins again, and then he's won 4 straight games this year, and you're 4-2. Can you separate, okay, we know a good, healthy Cam is clearly the guy from maybe we don't want to mess with success?
Yeah, it's rhythm. So it's going to be rhythm, and I think it's going to be a really tough decision. Once you get in a rhythm as a football team, you don't want to do anything to disrupt that. I think if they do and pull Kyle Allen out of that roster, it will impact the chemistry that's in that locker room right now.
All right, Sharon, what do you think? Buy or sell? Kyle Allen wins this week. He starts over Cam, a healthy Cam, against San Francisco.
I agree with Al. I'm selling as well. I think that you've got a league MVP sitting on the sidelines here. You can't do that. You've got to get him in there. But the key word as well, healthy, and that the team doctors and trainers call him healthy, not Cam Newton saying he's healthy, because he told us that in his video that he did a couple of weeks ago that he's
still waiting on the next
injuries.
one.
So.
Thought we were going to do this every Friday with the videos. Something to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that it needs to be he needs to be cleared by team doctors, be completely healthy, because a completely healthy Cam Newton, people forget just how good he is. And he was the league MVP just a couple of years ago, just what he was doing last year at the beginning of the season before he got injured. I mean, there's just no comparison. Kyle Allen has been very solid so far. Maybe with a lot more experience, he can be a quality starter in this league. Who knows? But he is not the physical specimen and athlete that Cam Newton is right now. And I think you go with Cam Newton if he is completely healthy.
Josh, buy or sell Allen over Newton against San Francisco should he win this week?
Okay, so I'm going to buy because of the way the question is framed. If the Panthers want to reach the Super Bowl, Cam Newton needs to be the quarterback. Going into San Francisco, if they win and Kyle Allen's 4-0, a lot of what you and Al were just talking about a minute ago, there is a rhythm that I don't think you want to disrupt if you're Carolina. And once Cam Newton is healthy, if the Panthers are having success with Kyle Allen, I think you ride that out until you can't ride it anymore, and then make the change to Cam Newton if and honestly when Kyle Allen has a bad game. It's going to happen at some point. It happens to everybody. I think that'll be the moment that you can make the switch. What would make me nervous is if Kyle Allen's winning and the team's winning, you put Cam in. If they lose, now all of a sudden there becomes all sorts of drama and controversy that you don't really want. I think that's the danger. And let's not forget, okay, just because Cam will be 100% healthy at some point doesn't mean that he's immediately ready to jump back in and be flawless. You know, I remember a couple months ago in the preseason, everyone was so worried about playing him against New England because he had to shake off the rust. This is a guy that's going to be rusty whenever he comes back, and he hasn't practiced more than 3 days in a row, essentially in over a year. I don't think there's anything wrong with giving him a couple weeks once he's healthy just to be on the practice field, so long as Kyle Allen's doing enough to win. If he's not, then of course you've got to go back to the game.
All right, I'll line up with Josh for a second here and say that I'll buy that Kyle Allen could start the next game at San Francisco just because of the things you're saying. Did you see San Francisco's defense the other day? Do you want to fly Cam all the way out there? And he's healthy going into that game, and what's going to happen to him when he plays against that defense? I would love to see Cam make his return at home to start November against the Titans. I think that could be I'll talk about rhythm. I think they could get into a rhythm with Cam against that team with those good vibes at home for a really important final 2 months of the season. All right, buy or sell, our next topic. We dove into this a little bit in the first quarter, and I see some fans are talking about it on Facebook. Buy or sell, Christian McCaffrey needs to rest. I say he's got the plane ride in the bye week. He might need a little more than that. Sharon, what do you say? Buy or sell?
I think he's getting enough rest. They're not practicing him every day anymore. He's basically going to have every Wednesday off. They do have the bye week coming up. I mean, he's a little dinged up, and a lot of guys are. I'm sure Al can attest to that. Pretty much everybody who's on that football field is dinged up. Obviously, Christian has had a ton of reps. He basically has played every offensive down except for a few last week against Jacksonville at the end of the game. So he's definitely worn down a little bit. But, yeah, I agree with you. It's a nice long plane ride to London. He gets the bye week next week, and he's young. He's a young guy, and I think he can bounce back.
Yeah, keep it up. He'll be, I think 13th in terms of the most touches by a running back in a single season. But a lot of those guys, Dickerson, Emmitt Smith, I mean, those guys were taking it between the tackles every single time. I think he'll be just fine with a couple of plays off here and there, and they started to do that last week, even before he started cramping up. Al, what do you say? Buy or sell? Christian McCaffrey needs rest.
I'm going to sell. When? Not on a Sunday. He can rest during the week. Sharon said it best. Once you get to that first day of training camp, everything's hurting. Everything's sore. So this guy's just going to be sore. I think if you rest Christian McCaffrey, you rest this offense. And I really mean that. He means so much to this unit and what they're capable of doing and what they want to do going down the road. So we only do this with running backs. We kind of baby them, and deservedly so. They take a lot of punishment, but Christian McCaffrey, I said it earlier, he's an alien, so he can do it. He's a young guy. He wants the ball. I think Reggie Bonnafon getting in there and proving that he was a capable guy in the regular season is going to go a long way. And it doesn't have to take away from his touches, but what he can do is swap out some of those dirty snaps where he's blocking and doing protection and some of the ugly stuff.
How do you kind of do that, though, Al, and make things not predictable? Okay, he's not in, so this is kind of what the Panthers are going to do when Christian McCaffrey's not in. Is there a way to do that? Yeah,
you don't have to. You just point back to that run that Reggie Bonnafon had this past game. I think if he's in there, he's a threat. He's a very, very capable running back. So you don't have to worry about that. You sprinkle those things in there. You keep some balance, but you take him off the field so that he's not playing 97 of the snaps.
Josh, buy or sell? McCaffrey needs rest.
Yeah, I
You're
mean, I
buying.
kind of alluded to this earlier. I am buying only in the sense that, during the week, the rest is important. I'm glad that the Panthers are doing that. And on Sunday, like you guys said, sprinkling in Bonifant is going to be good. I do think that there's part of the Panthers that needs to be at least concerned about this guy long term. I know that's secondary to winning football games right now. I totally get that. But you look historically over the last 20, 25 years, the running backs who carry the ball or touch the ball, rather, more than 400 times in a season almost never are the same afterwards. I mean, I know DeMarco Murray's a bit of a rare case, but a couple years ago, touched the ball 440 some times. He was out of the league 3 years later. I'm not predicting that for McCaffrey, but it is something to be mindful of, especially with the way running backs are holding out after their third year in the league lately. You can look around the league and see other guys who are doing that. Again, that secondary, the Panthers need to focus on doing whatever it takes to win. As long as Cam Newton's not on the field, Christian McCaffrey is absolutely the best player on the Panthers, and they need every bit of him to win football games.
All right. I think it's a two-way street. They're squeezing all they can out of him now. He's going to squeeze all he can out of him when it comes to contract time, and maybe with this position we've seen a little bit before. Continuing second down, buy or sell. 9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions over the last 3 games for Jameis Winston. Buy or sell, Sharon, Jameis Winston is a different quarterback this year.
No, I'm selling that. I think that bad Jameis is going to make an appearance, and hopefully this Sunday. I think for 4 straight years now, I think he's led the league in turnovers as a quarterback. He's just a turnover machine, and he honed it in a little bit here this season after that horrible first game where he hit the 3 picks, 2 of them pick sixes. So he's definitely improved, and I think Bruce Arians has been a huge reason for that. He's known as the quarterback whisperer out there, so he's done a good job with him so far. But he was really good against the Rams. He was good against the Panthers, but then he struggled some last week against the Saints. You get more pressure on him, that's when he starts making those mistakes. So I think if this Panthers front line, they have been outstanding the past couple of games of all that, the pressure they're getting on opposing quarterbacks and all the sacks. So I think famous Jameis is going to be making some mistakes starting this Sunday.
Josh, what do you say? Buy or sell? Jameis Winston is a different quarterback this year than the previous seasons.
I will sell. I think he's the same guy. I agree with Sharon, and he's better coached right now under Bruce Arians, no doubt about it. He's being put in position to succeed. Chris Godwin has been tremendous. I think the big concern this week specifically is how he's protected. I could see the Panthers defensive line absolutely feasting on Jameis because the entire right side of that offensive line is out. They're missing their right guard. They're missing DeMar Dotson, the right tackle. The backup right tackle, Josh Wells, his wife is expecting their child in the next 24 to 48 hours. He may not even make the trip, which good for him. I applaud him for making the right decision, but it could hurt the Buccaneers on Sunday. I think that the Panthers, I think that they have a field day against Jameis on Sunday. I think this is a great matchup for Carolina.
Al, let me ask you this first. We had a Brian Burns touchdown last week. You had a touchdown back in 2002,
Yes.
was it? Take us through that
Yes. I didn't make a great play. Mike Rucker came around and got a sack, and the ball was on the ground, and I scooped it and dove about 3 yards. So I can't take a whole lot of credit. I wasn't an athlete on that play. I was just in the right spot at the right time. So my first and only career touchdown for the Carolina Panthers for any team. I'll take it, though. It was worth it.
All right, buy or sell on this Jameis Winston topic that he is a different quarterback this year.
Look, I'm a Carolina Panther, and I'm a fan of football. I don't buy – I'm going to sell Jameis Winston on most of these things. I just think he's been streaky throughout his career. He put up 4,000 yards plus in his first 2 years, but the thing that's haunted him is interceptions, and he's going to continue to do that. And Josh said it best. We saw that first game, 2 pick sixes. This guy, it'll pop up again. He makes poor decisions. He always has. Now, he's done a great job with Godwin and Evans there. Those 2 big physical receivers really lit up the Carolina Panthers in week 2. I think this D-line is just playing too good, getting after the quarterback. This is a perfect opportunity for them to get after Jameis Winston and force those turnovers.
Sell. Anything comes to Jameis Winston. All right, next. Last buy or sell. We'll finish second down with this. We'll start back with Al. The Panthers defense will keep up this performance for the rest of the season. Buy or sell?
Yeah, I'm going to buy that. I've enjoyed watching these guys get after quarterbacks, and I'm buying it because there's so many talented pass rushers on this team. Older guys with Irvin and Mario Addison, and then the younger guys with Burns and the rest of the guys, you see them just getting after the quarterback. They can continue to do this throughout the year. I think Ron Rivera and Eric Washington have done a really good job of just dialing up some really creative blitzes. And it's not just that front. And it's not it's the linebackers. It's the defensive back. So they're doing a really good job. And as long as they have Luke Kuechly in the middle, getting everybody lined up and squared away, he's a tackling machine. Shaq Thompson's finally arrived now and is right behind Luke in total tackle. So I'm buying this defense.
Yeah, Luke and Shaq both top 5 in the NFL in tackles right now with Luke leading the way. Sharon, buy or sell this Panthers defense? Going to do this the rest of the year?
I'm buying. I think that this defense has taken a few weeks to really get rolling, and I think they're just going to get even better. Brian Burns has said that. Jerome McCoy has said that. And a lot of guys have been saying we haven't even gotten near as good as we can be. So they started out a little slow those first 2 weeks, and now they've gotten that new nickname, the Sack Street Boys and Thieves, of course, back there with all those guys in the secondary, which they've been playing extremely well. That's something that's been different this year than the years past. The secondary, they were at one point ranked number 1 in the league in passing defense. So between the sacks up front, the pressure up front, the athletic guys and the linebackers, and the secondary holding up their end of the bargain this year, I think this defense excels this season. Josh
Parcell, what you got? Buy or sell? Panthers defense doing this the whole year.
Okay, so we have quorum here because I'm buying too. We got everybody on board. I mean, this defense is great. You guys touched on all the great parts. I don't have anything really to add. I will say this, something to be mindful of moving forward. The Panthers are 31st in the league right now against the run. They've struggled to slow down the run. The interior defensive line has had a hard time. Fournette had a lot of success against them. Even the Texans were able to break a few runs against them. They don't have a great rushing attack or a great offensive line. So that's just something to be mindful of moving forward. There's some good running backs on the schedule the second half of the year. I would just keep an eye on that. That's the one area I think they really need to address, and that becomes that much harder when K'Wan Short is already out for the year and on IR.
All right, I'll sell only because of that run defense, and I'm just thinking that this, what do we got? We've got 11 games left, so buy him doing it the rest of the year consistently like this. I can't quite buy that. I think they're going to end up one of the top 10, top 5 defenses in the NFL. But Josh, you talk about that run defense. They got that San Francisco game in a couple of weeks, and you saw how they ran the football. That's going to be a tough matchup. All right, that is it for Second Down. We've got some great Facebook comments. Lisa, Linda, all over our Facebook page talking about keep pounding Carolina for life. How's the crowd going to look on Sunday? It looks like we've got a lot of people over there from the Carolinas based on what we've seen on social media. So I think the Panthers crowd has really traveled well this year. Let's get to third down. This is an over-under. We'll get to a few of these, guys. So over-under, and you can go quick with them. We'll get to a bunch of them if we can. Chris Godwin, the Bucs receiver, over-under 1.5 touchdowns against Carolina on Sunday. Sharon.
I'm going to go over on that one. He's been averaging 2 touchdowns and over 100 yards a game the past 3 games in a row, so I'll go over.
Al?
I'm going to go under. I think this team is much better, and we just talked about the pressure. I think they'll impact his ability to catch those touchdowns.
Dante Jackson back. He's gonna have his hands full with Chris Godwin. Josh, what do you think?
I'll go under, but Dante struggled with Godwin in week 2. That's going to be a key matchup. First game back for Dante in a couple of weeks, trying to line up against one of the hottest receivers in football. I'll say under. I think he gets 1. 2's a lot.
All right. Over-under, McCaffrey, total yards, 173.5, which is about his average, which is incredible. You need to triple-check that sometimes. I'm going to say he's going to go over it, even though his performance against the Bucs last time was somehow his worst of the year. I think he's going to be motivated as heck to get out there and tear him up this time. I'll say he goes over his average somehow because he keeps doing ridiculous stuff. Al, over under?
Yeah, it's hard to go against him, but I'm going to go under here. I think the Bucs just going to want to take him away the same way they did in week 2. They're going to force Kyle Allen to beat them, and I think he has a good day because of that defense kind of taking away 22.
Sharon?
I agree with Al. I think the Bucs have the number 2 ranked run defense in the league right now, and they did a good job on him the first time. And I think that they're going to maybe not completely bottle him up, but I think they slow him down in this one.
Josh, did we get to you yet? This thing's like a whirlwind. The show's a whirlwind.
Yeah,
over,
no, I'm going to agree with them as well. Tampa Bay, Sharon, you nailed it. The run defense for Tampa Bay is so good. They've taken on Saquon Barkley, Matt Breida, Alvin Kamara, Todd Gurley. They've shut down some of the best running backs in football. I think that if the Panthers are going to win this game, they'll need other guys to step up. I don't think they can rely on McCaffrey quite as much as they have the last few weeks.
Kyle Allen fumbles, over or under 1.5. Sharon.
I'm going to say under. I don't think
Hopefully.
he's going to keep repeating that same problem. He's gone down each game now. At least I didn't have any key ones last week anyway. So I think he's learning his lesson. Hold on to that football, and I think we'll go under on that one.
Al, what do you say?
I'm going to go under, but did Shaq Barrett make the trip?
Yeah, unfortunately he did.
No, I'm going to go under. I think he's learned. He's getting better. He just has to step up and step through that pocket and stop floating back there.
Yeah, Shaq Barrett, 9 sacks, first in the NFL. He's cooled off a little bit, but you know he's coming after him. And I think we got a Shaq Barrett one. Let's go to that. Shaq Barrett sacks, 1.5. Oh, Josh, did you want to give us your over? I keep forgetting about you.
Under. That's all right, under. Keep going.
All right. We'll start with Josh. Shaq Barrett, 1.5 sacks against the new left side of the Panthers line.
Man, I'm tempted. You know what? I'm going to say over. The guy is red hot. I know last week, I don't think he picked up a single sack, but Greg Little still in concussion protocol. He's making the trip. Not sure if he's going to go. If you're throwing in Dennis Daly on that left side, Daly struggled on Sunday against speed rushers. And Shaquille Barrett is, the last time I checked, a speed rusher. That's a guy who can get around you with that speed. And I think he actually could have a big day. That's going to be a critical matchup for Carolina. Whether Greg Little is in or not, they've got to protect Barrett, certainly better than they did a few weeks ago.
All right, let's go to Al on this. Shaq Barrett, over under 1.5
I
sacks.
think he's done a great job this year, and obviously he feasted the last time his team played. But I'm going to go under because I believe that the Panthers are going to do everything they can, whether it's max protecting, chipping, sliding, helping over there. They're not going to let him get many one-on-one rushes against Dennis Daly.
Sharon, is Chris Manhertz back?
Yes.
Yeah, that could help.
He's practiced 2 days in a row, yes. Yeah, I agree with Al. I think that the Panthers are going to have – their plan is going to be to try and slow down Shaq Barrett in any way they can because we all saw what he did against Cam Newton in the first game. He's got 9 sacks leading the NFL right now. So they're going to find some way to try and slow him down and give Dennis Daly or whoever it is out there a little bit of help to keep him away from Kyle Allen. So I'm going to go under.
All right, let's do 2 more. I'll go with the Greg Olsen one because he had a great game against Tampa the last time. Tampa's been terrible against the tight ends. I'll start with you on this, Al, because Olsen and Allen didn't quite have the connection they did in the first game last couple of weeks. So what's up with that and over-under Greg Olsen catches with 3.5 this week, Al?
I think it's going to be over on that one. Greg Olsen needs to get involved in this game plan. He's kind of been missing the last couple of weeks. And when this team and this offense is really balanced, it's because Greg Olsen is controlling the middle of the field. And I think they're going to need to do that to win because I already said I think they're going to take away Christian McCaffrey. So the next guy, that comfort blanket, it has to be your tight end. That's Greg Olsen. He's going to get more than 4 catches here.
Josh, 3.5 catches for Greg. What do you say?
I'm going to say over. Tampa Bay struggles against tight ends, like you said, and my phone battery is dying, so I need to shut up.
Sharon, Josh's phone is dying. Give me a quick one.
I was like, everything froze. I'm going to say over. Greg Olsen gets back in the mix on Sunday.
Let's sneak one more in. Josh, we'll start with you. Kyle Allen passing touchdowns, 1.5.
Over. Tampa Bay struggles against the pass. They're great against the run. Their secondary is awful. Bruce Arians called them soft the other day. I think this is a great opportunity for not only Olsen, but DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel to get those.
Al.
Yeah, I'm going to go over. I think he has a great day. They're going to take away Christian, and he's going to have great opportunities to throw the ball all over the field.
Josh, you could just tell me you have dinner plans or something. You don't have to fake the phone dying.
Excuses.
Sharon, let's end this one with you.
Over. I'm going to say over as well. I think I agree with Josh there. Tampa Bay secondary is awful, and I think that Kyle Allen's going to have at least 3 touchdown passes.
All right, let's get to our 4th and final down. This is Monday headline, the funny headline in your newspaper, your TV station, your digital website, your radio station, what have you. After this Panthers-Bucks game, your punniest, wittiest, funniest headline, Josh Parcell.
Prince Alan of Scottsdale sinks another fleet. I think that's what's going to happen on Sunday. I think Kyle Allen, like Sharon says, big game from him. I think Allen has his best game since his first one against Arizona. I think the Panthers win this one against a beleaguered Buccaneers secondary.
Sharon, what's your headline?
I'm going to steal Ron Rivera's T-shirt with the pound sign and say, Panthers pound the Bucks. That's about as creative as I can get.
Love it. Al?
I'm right in with the rest of the group. Not the most witty guy, but I'm going to say torched in Tottenham is mine.
Oh, yeah.
I think
There you go.
Carolina
I like it. I
has
like
a
it.
really
Nice.
good day. I think they're going to torch the Bucks. Payback is coming.
I could see that being a put. Maybe we might steal that for our push alert Sunday after they win this game out. Thank you. That's a good headline. I'll go with Carolina teas like tea and crumpets off on Jameis Winston and the Bucks. I think the Panthers are winning 24-16. Hey guys, thanks so much for doing this. This has been a great edition of 4 Down Territory. Sharon, Al, Josh, who's still somehow with us here. Charge your phone, Josh. All right, thanks
thank
everybody
you.
for commenting,
Thanks.
and we'll end the show, and we'll see y'all in a couple weeks after the bye week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. See ya.
Just me.